We've all been there. You're deep in a project, the code or the project is finally starting to make sense and it's all coming together, and then bam, you hit the workflow rate limit. Now, with the introduction of OpenClaw, it's made things a lot more accessible, but on every YouTube video and every Instagram post, I'm seeing people asking, how do we get around the rate limits and what can we do to make sure that all these amazing things that people are building that are actually accessible to most people? And that's what we're going to cover today. Even if you're paying for a top tier subscription, most of the models have pretty tight ceilings when it comes to usage. Most people just sit and wait, but today I'm going to show you a way of how we can actually help you get around most of the usage limits that you'll be experiencing by actually tweaking the models that we use day in, day out according to the task that you're doing. And by doing that, we're going to be able to reduce your usage cost by more than 60%. Let's jump in and I'll explain how we're going to do it. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know what OpenClaw is. It's basically the first iteration of AI that we've had that can actually do things. So by connecting it up to all of your different systems and obviously running it securely, you now have access to a 24/7 assistant that you can chat with through WhatsApp and through Telegram. But when people start diving in and getting into more detailed and more complex projects and asking it to build things and spin up additional agents, there's a question and a concern about the actual usage and how people can really be productive with something like this and to build really cool things if every few hours it's going to, hit a rate limit with Claude, for example. And even the top tier plans with Claude have pretty tight ceilings on what they offer with their rates and their usage by API. So today what we're going to look at is a tool called OpenRouter. Now, you might not have seen this before, but basically it's an API-based access that allows you to interface with all the different LLMs on the market. I think there's more than 600 available within this platform, and it allows you to connect up to those via API. That means a few different things. The first thing is that you don't have to create accounts and set up individual logins for each of these different platforms. It all is accessible via API through a single account with OpenRouter. So you can jump onto this site. I'll put the link down below. You can make an account, you can get your API key, and by loading up some credits, it will actually start giving you access to the models that you can see here. It's probably the best price to performance that you can get via API. And it also gives you the ability, like I said, to not have to have so many different logins and so many different, tool access for OpenAI and ChatGPT and Gemini and all of the tools that you might be using. So why does this exist and why is this important? Well, when most people are setting up OpenClaw, and as I said, please follow, there's plenty of videos on how to set it up securely. When most people are doing that, they're connecting it straight into a single LLM, like, the Claude models, Opus and Sonnet. With good reason, they are probably the best models that are available on the market at the moment for more complex tasks. But if you're just chatting with it, your OpenClaw bot, and you want to keep it nice and simple in terms of what you're asking it to do, maybe you want it to check the weather next Wednesday, for example, using such an expensive model is probably a huge waste of credits. But it's obviously a bit of a pain to be switching between different models within the single context. And that's where you can set up predefined parameters for different models that you want to use. So this is the current model. When you set up OpenClaw, you connect up your LLM, and by default, it lets you collect one LLM. So your heartbeats, which is the routine scan or check that it does every day, is going to run through Claude. All of your queries, every time you message it on Telegram or WhatsApp, all your daily tasks, everything you do, and even when you spin up sub-agents, all of that is going to use Claude, which is going to chew through your usage. And this is how we're going to help you do things the right way, by saving 60% or more on your usage so you can get more out of your OpenClaw usage. Starting from the left, your heartbeats typically should be used from a model like Gemini. Now, Gemini has a very, very low cost in terms of its value at idle, and also really good value for high context queries. Now, a quick tip here, I've actually set up my AI agency and we've put all of our workspace through Google. That means you pay a monthly subscription to get access to your email domain and your workspace and everything else that you get as part of a business benefit. If you've done the same, what you can actually do is utilize that free plan, because that does come with a pretty high excess of usage. And so that subscription actually gives you access to some of the more powerful models within Gemini at a more reasonable price. The second, for your queries and your daily tasks, we're going to be recommending you use something like OpenAI's GPT-5 Mini or DeepSeek version 3.2. It's around 90% cheaper with pretty good reliability for most common tasks that you would need, like conversations and quick back and forth throughout the day. For sub-agents, we're going to be prioritizing the DeepSeek R1 or GPT 4.1 Nano model. These are highly cost-effective models. Depending on the task that you're doing for the sub-agent, they'll both work really well. And now we can save the more complex tasks, the vibe coding, and all of the other things that you would want to be doing with some of the most powerful models on the market, like Claude, including Opus 4.5. This is the gold standard for LLMs currently. It's best for the planning, the hard tasks, and the more mental work that you want to be doing. So we should be keeping your usage and prioritizing usage for that exactly. Now I'll show you how we can get set up with the OpenClaw integration into OpenRouter. So you want to start by heading over to OpenRouter. As I said, I put the link in the description below. You want to create an account, and once you've got an account created, and set up an API key. Now you can head over to the second link in the description, which is the integration guide for the OpenClaw integration with OpenRouter. Now I'm not going to go through this step by step on camera. You can follow the instructions. There's pretty much 4 easy steps that you'll need to follow, and you can do it all through terminal. If you've already set up OpenClaw, this will be pretty much a breeze for you. Once you've gone in and followed steps 2, 3, and 4, and you've plugged in your API key, you can now choose your primary model. But the real money is where I'm going to show you down. It's what we've been talking about for most of the video, which is the auto model for cost optimization. This is by far the best feature that you're ever going to need within OpenRouter. So as we said, OpenClaw agents perform lots of different things, but when you have auto model turned on, basically what this is going to do is automatically select the most cost-effective model based on the prompt. And this makes it fantastic for OpenClaw because it's going to route a lot of those simple tasks and the status checks and the heartbeats to the cheaper models while using more capable models only when needed. And that's going to be the primary thing. So you're going to want to jump in here and follow these steps. It's as simple as copying the code from here straight into your terminal. And you can also configure fallback models. So this makes sure that your agent's always going to run even when it's doing autonomous tasks in the background. You can read more about the fallback models here, but basically it's kind of like a second line of defense where if Gemini fails or goes down or doesn't work properly for some instance, you can then have a backup model that will automatically step in and take its place, as you can see here. So based on the code, the primary model would be Claude Sonnet 4.5. The fallbacks would then be Haiku and Sonnet 4.5 as a fallback. So this is just an extra layer on top of reliability. And there you have it. Today we went through how to optimize your token usage to reduce your OpenClaw cost by more than 60%. If this was at all helpful for you, please hit the subscribe button, give it a like so other people can find it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.